are ready for our main event. Coming out of the junior middleweight divisions, 10 rounds of boxing between Austin, no doubt Trout, former junior middleweight world champion, and Joey Hernandez, Twinkle. I love that nickname. Twinkle. Round one. They're fighting at a catch weight of 156.
And a rare thing here, two southpaws.
Hernandez rehydrating to 175 as he steps in the ring, as he told our Claudia Trejos.
And that we will soon be able to tell if that's an advantage or a disadvantage. We saw James Toney do it against Roy Jones Jr. and it slowed him down tremendously. It was the classic case of overdoing it on the rehydration. But let's see if Twinkle Fingers can make it work for him.
Yeah. As for Austin Trout, he's won 3 fights in a row, coming off a 7th round TKO of Luis Galarza in May in Hidalgo, Texas. He snapped back nicely since his loss to Irislandi Lara. A unanimous decision Lara scored in 2013 in Brooklyn. That was, they were on your fight card.
Yeah. I was on the undercard of me versus Zab Judah.
Fight that you won, by the way.
Yeah.
You and Zab Judah growing up virtually together.
Yeah. Brooklyn pals. See Trout, as usual, as his usual self, trying to come out establishing that jab. Hernandez, they're trying to jab with him. They always say you can jab with a jabber, you don't hook with a hooker.
Trout telling us that he's not looking for the knockout, but he wants to break Joey Hernandez down and put him away early.
Yeah, he said he wants to make a statement. You know, he's been having a bit of a rivalry with Julian Williams on Twitter and in the media, and he said, you know, he knows Julian Williams fought Joey Hernandez, and ideally he'd like to maybe put Hernandez away and make a statement because Julian Williams went the distance with Joey Hernandez.
Williams winning that fight, unanimous decision in April in Quebec. And how does that affect you, Paulie, when you hydrate over 20 pounds? Does that make you stronger? Does that make you stronger or slower?
I've never hydrated 20 pounds. You know, if you're a boxer who's looking for speed and whatnot, I can't imagine it helps you. If you're the kind of guy who's looking to muscle your opponent around, I can imagine maybe, you know, it can help you, but it depends on your opponent and how mobile he is, because I figure it'll slow down your footwork tremendously. Let's see. You know, I don't want to jump to conclusions until I see the fight, you know, and see how it affects Hernandez in a positive or negative way.
Right now, Trout using his jab, going upstairs and downstairs. Would you consider Austin Trout a classic counterpuncher?
Yeah, but he's got a good jab. He knows how to lead too. You know, he's trying to walk down Hernandez little by little. We'll see how the fight starts to play out. Right now, it's a good feel-out round. But he established the jab nicely in the first round.
First round scheduled for 10, junior middleweight division. And we'll stay right here and let's take a look at the 1800 Tequila 360 ref cam.
Here's the action right from inside the ring, right from where the referee's watching.
Stop. Separate. You gotta stop when I say the word stop. Box.
And when you look at referee Jack Reese, the camera is on his glasses.
Yeah, right on above his right ear.
There are the glasses, the rough cam glasses, and the camera right on the right side.
Good job.
Barry Hunter trains Austin Trout. He's DC-based Lamont Peterson's trainer.
Step back, please.
Round 2, scheduled for 10. Austin Trout in black, Joey Hernandez in white. Hernandez slipping next to the ropes. Hernandez told us that he was going to be aggressive. He was going to press Austin Trout the entire fight. We haven't seen that yet.
No, not quite yet, but we'll see how the fight opens up. Right now, you know, that first round felt like a little bit of a feel-out round. We'll see as the fight wears on, how the momentum of the fight starts to take shape.
Let's join Claudia Trejos.
Thank you, Gus. Carlos Albuerne asked Joey to throw first and use that jab and then go for the 1-2 and start moving, using the bending and the weaving. But apparently he's having a hard time doing that.
It's early on right now, but certainly if he's going to try to cut the distance on Trout, he's going to have to do it behind the jab, because Trout is meeting him with a solid jab and really establishing the distance at the range he prefers. You see Hernandez trying the jab there, but Trout coming back on the 1-2 with the second part of it going to the stomach.
Austin Trout scored his greatest victory against Miguel Cotto December of 2012 when he won a unanimous decision at Madison Square Garden. He fought Canelo Alvarez hard in San Antonio in 2013. Some feel that he may have even won that fight.
Yeah, it was a close competitive fight. Well, he was knocked down in the fight, and that might have also been the difference in the scoring. But the Cotto win looks better and better every day as Cotto has gone on to become the middleweight champion of the world since then.
Trout claimed the vacant junior middleweight belt by defeating Alvarez's older brother, Rigoberto, in 2011. Made 3 successful title defenses, including Cotto. .50 seconds remaining in the second round, scheduled for 10 in the junior middleweight division. These two men are fighting at a catch weight of 156. Hernandez showing some Ali shuffle-like feet, throws a lunging left hand and misses.
And instead of lunging like that, he should feint his way in. You know, he's reaching from too far out of range. And when you're doing that, you're going to either come up short or you may walk into a counter. Maybe if you're a little bit out of range, you feint your way in. He's a shorter man, so he needs to make up some distance when he wants to punch.
Now Trout going to the body, testing that rehydration.
Yeah.
Ten seconds remaining.
You see Joey Hernandez with a bit of a showboat, letting Austin Trout know he's all business, or not.
Welcome back to Hollywood. The legendary Hollywood Palladium opened up in 1940, capacity 3,700. Home to boxing once again, as this man is looking to take another quantum leap in his career and get back into the world championship conversation. Austin Trout in black. But he needs to get past Joey Hernandez, who's determined to not become an opponent. He feels that if he loses this fight, that's where his career is headed.
Yeah, well, you know, you look for that one signature win, which can cross you over from that journeyman slash prospect slash contender status slash, well, you want to select journeyman slash prospect, you're on that verge. And, you know, you want to jump into that contender status. We need that signature win. You know, Hernandez has a good enough record to maybe be considered a prospect, but at the same time, he's been around long enough and been boxing long enough to where if he doesn't get that signature win, eventually he'll fall into that journeyman status. So that's what he's trying to avoid tonight.
Hernandez, 30 years old. Trout, 29. He'll turn 30 on September 18th. And the knock on Austin Trout in the past has been he's not busy. He's not exciting.
Yeah, you know, he's got that methodical approach. He knows how to win behind a nice, sharp jab. And he'll kind of take what you give him. So sometimes if you don't give him anything, a lot of times there's not a lot of action because he'll be content to just pop you with the jab. He's starting to try to cut his way in, ensuring that distance behind that jab. You see him sometimes touching Hernandez to the body. Like you said last round, Gus is testing out that rehydration. But you know, little by little, let's see if he opens things up. So it all depends on how much he starts to break down Hernandez and how much he notices Hernandez breaking down. Right now, Hernandez is very lively. He's still jumping around, throwing, you know, punches with mean intentions. That even if they're not landing, he's still here to win.
Double jab by Trout. Now he touches the midsection. Right now, Austin Trout just touching. There's a big power shot, uppercut, right hook.
Hernandez got to start to counter that. You know, he starts to make those faces when Trout comes at him, but you're gonna stand your ground. The whole point of standing your ground is to be able to counter right from there. And he tried it right there with a little hook to the body.
Oh, downstairs, and he came back up with the right hook, and that backed up Joey Hernandez. May have hurt him. Now Hernandez, fighting in desperation, lands a right hand of his own. Ten seconds remaining in the third.
Let each other out.
Things starting to heat up at the Palladium.
At the bell.
Austin Trout starting to find his range.
And a nice right hook by Trout right off that jab to the stomach.
And welcome back, Joey Hernandez's corner. As we take a look at the CompuBox stats through 2 rounds. Austin Trout busier, and he's landed more punches. Better percentage at 28. Round 4 scheduled for 10 in the junior middleweight division. Austin Trout, former junior middleweight world champion, has fought some of the best. Miguel Cotto, Canelo Alvarez, to name a couple. Oh my goodness! Wow, what was that? What was that?
That's going to cost him a few points.
Malicious, intentional foul. Listen to me. Let me rest. What you did was malicious and unintentional. Come here. Come here. Come here. 1 point.
That's an automatic 2-point deduction.
Look, if he hits you low, let me take care of it. I told you don't retaliate in the dressing room.
Wow.
Are you going to lose control? Is that what it is? You control yourself? Stay there. Are you okay? All right. You ready? Box.
I think the referee only took 1 point away from Joey Hernandez.
Which is generous by Jack Reese, because that was clearly an intentional body slam.
Trout going downstairs.
Trout cutting the ring off. Trying to eliminate the escape avenues of Hernandez. Hernandez gets out of there now. But
Austin Trout 29-2 with 16 knockouts. Hernandez 24-3 with 14 KOs and 1 draw. That right hook looks like it was blocked, though, by Hernandez.
Trout looking at he's up in the pressure a little bit this round. Just touching Hernandez where he can find little openings. Not everything is hard. Some of it is just touches. Trying to open up that guard of Hernandez. He's staying sharp defensively, not really losing positioning. Just like as you see right there, a little slip, kept his positioning. Hernandez fell in. It's that mental pressure that you start to apply to an opponent. Try to break him down.
Now Austin Trout starting to let his hands go. Not as much movement by Hernandez. There's double jab, left hand behind the elbow. Now left hook.
And you see how Trout is now starting to slip Hernandez's punches, Hernandez's offense, without giving up that ground. And again, that's applies that mental pressure where you're just not taking a step back even when offense is flying your way.
And Hernandez staying on the end of Trout's jab, backs him up as he pushes that left hand through. Now digs with the right hand to the body. Austin Trout, this may be his best round. And Hernandez connecting with the left hand.
Yeah, good body shot by Hernandez there.
Dana White, take a look.
There's a body slam we all saw.
Welcome back to the Hollywood Palladium. Gus Johnson, Paulie Malignaggi, and Claudia Trejos, along with Brian Kinney. And a look at the 1800 Tequila 360 ref cam. Double leg takedown. Dana White, sign this guy up. Let's join Steve Farhood.
Jack Reese took 1 point away, not 2. Usually with a intentional foul, it's a 2-point. But he said because there was no injury, he only took 1 point away from Hernandez for that body slam, not 2 points.
Usually, you know, it's a sign that you're very frustrated. When you're starting to intentionally foul that way, you know, it's usually a sign of frustration. And you know, Hernandez is not winning the fight, but I don't see any reason why he should be totally frustrated yet. I mean, it's still early on in the fight, and he can still has time to turn things around. But when you start to cost yourself points like that, it only makes things worse.
Hernandez now tying up Trout. Trout trying to work the free hand. Stiff jab by Trout has been effective through the first 4 rounds. Now Hernandez thought about scooping him again. Junior middleweight division, 156-pound catch weight for these two men. 2 minutes ago in the 5th round, scheduled for 10.
So Trout has been staying behind that jab from the first round, and it's worked for him beautifully. Establishes his distance. He cuts the distance with it when he uses it on the defensive as well when Hernandez attacks.
Hernandez told us he would be aggressive. He hasn't shown that.
He hasn't been able to get past the jab. I mean, at times he's trying to jab with Trout, but not as much success as a nice jab by Trout. And you see how Trout sets up the rest of his offense. That left uppercut came because he was able to touch him with the jab first.
There's a body work again by Trout.
The jab does so many things. It can be a rangefinder. It can protect you on defense. It can back a guy up and make you the boss of the action as well. Trout.
Coming from a fighter, folks, Paulie Malignaggi, that had one of the sweetest jabs in boxing, has one of the sweetest jabs, but I saw you when you were 19,
yeah.
And that jab was quick. And you had the great hair.
Those good old days. I like the way Trout has mixed his attack to the body as well. You know, obviously we talked about the jab, but he's placed some well-timed body shots in there as well to Hernandez in spots. Speaking of that, there's a nice body shot from Hernandez as well.
Barry Hunter telling Austin Trout to use his size, keep Joey going backwards, and go to the body. Hernandez told in the corner to relax, box, and use your 1-2. But Austin Trout.
We talked about the body work of Austin Trout, and there's one of the shots. Come back with the jab and setting up right to the body.
Let's take a look at Steve Farhood's unofficial scorecard, and Austin Trout working away with him. Remember, the big foul took place in the 4th round with the double leg takedown by Joey Hernandez. But Austin Trout expected to win this fight, but expected to win this fight and look good. What are your thoughts so far, Paul?
So far, he's doing what he's supposed to do. I mean, he's dominating the action. Little by little, he's got a frustrated opponent in front of him. It can be a bit awkward, and, you know, you don't know what he's going to do next. But he's managed to stay calm nonetheless. I mean, after getting body slammed, you know, Trout could have lost his own mind as well and then tried to fight dirty tactics for dirty tactics. But he's stuck with a game plan and had a very mature approach throughout this fight so far.
Trout, a southpaw, has faced 3 southpaws. including Landy Lara. He said Lara was tricky.
Yeah, well, I'm sure all of Lara's opponents will tell you he's tricky. He has that reputation. He's a very crafty, world-class fighter is Landy Lara. And Hernandez continues to back up, and Trout continues to walk him down. You know, the plan of pressuring for Hernandez, I think, isn't working because he's out of answers, and he might be a bit frustrated. And as we saw from the body slam a few rounds ago as well, it's also a sign of frustration, but we'll see. He will still be searching for answers.
Uppercut landing for Trout.
I'll tell you one thing he's going to have to find an answer for is that jab of Trout, because that's where everything is starting and ending with.
Trout jabbing to the body. Austin saying we're not going to rush, but I will break him down. Now he goes with the right hand behind the elbow. And Hernandez slipping off balance.
Joey, turn around a minute. Let me just fix this for a second. You okay from that fall? All right? Box.
Really starting to like the way, though, Austin Trout is putting together his punches now.
Yeah. Not rushing anything. Accurate.
Stop.
Goodness, just grabbed Trout there. He didn't even disguise that clinch. Sometimes you disguise the clinch. He just grabbed him there.
Hernandez's mouth open. Remember, he had a tough time making weight.
This is where it all starts to catch up to here. It's Trout now. Little things Trout does that you really don't notice. He's cutting off the ring now, you know, and forcing Hernandez to fight when he doesn't want to fight. There, Hernandez finally escapes back to center ring, but not with without a couple of punches to take with him.
Hernandez taking deep breaths out of his mouth. Off balance. I think Trout going downstairs. The whole fight is starting to pay off for him now.
Yep, and this is that mental pressure. It's physical. Hernandez trying to pump himself up. He's got a lot of heart. He's game. He's trying to go down fighting if he's going to go down.
Trout to the body again.
Body
Both
shots.
sides.
Oh,
and Hernandez falls down.
You just saw it coming.
That body work devastating by Austin Trout. And Joey Hernandez will not make the count. Austin Trout stuck to his game plan. Patience. Broke him down.
And that's a statement he wanted to make. He wanted to get this stoppage.
Austin Trout, as he approaches his 30th birthday on the 18th of September, records his 30th win and his 17th KO in spectacular fashion. Classic, textbook, boxing. You're watching some of the best, some of the youngest, and some of the brightest on PBC. All right, Jenny, thank you very much. What a great night of boxing here at the Palladium on Fox Sports 1. Capped off with our main event, Austin Trout. As we look at the final punch stat numbers, connecting on 30% of his punches, but he was patient, Paulie. He did exactly what he told us that he'd do. He waited, broke him down, and scored a very exciting victory.
A very professional performance by Austin Trout, mixing the body shots and the head shots. We were talking about the jab all through the night, but those body shots eventually took their toll, and he set them up nicely. He didn't get greedy with them. You know, body shots can be tricky because to get inside, you may put yourself at risk of hooks of your opponent, but he picked his spots very nicely to place those body shots, and eventually it paid off with that knockout.
A painful ending for Joey Hernandez. But a different story for Austin Trout. Here's Ray Flores.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end comes at 3 minutes of the 6th round for your winner by knockout, Austin No Doubt Trout.
Austin Trout improves his record to 30-2, recording his 17th knockout as he stops Joey Hernandez